Hi everyone, today we are looking at task management inside of Tana. We all have things to do, we all have tasks that we need to get done, and a task management tool is supposed to help us with being at least a little bit more organized, and so that we can plan and prioritize our tasks efficiently. So this task management system or build inside of Tana is beginner friendly. I will be showing you how to set it up, and I also tried to make it as simple as I could. Right, it's the same system that I use. I just incorporate it with my weekly review and weekly planning process, but I have built a task management dashboard here, and that's what we're going to build today. So, getting started, let's just have a look at an overview of the actual dashboard, and then we will go ahead and build it out. So this is what it looks like. By dashboard, I mean that we have these different tabs that comprises the task management system. So we have a status board, and the purpose of the status board is really to bring tasks along this pipeline, primarily moving them from the inbox here and to next up. Next up, you can name the stages in this process anything that you want. So some people prefer to do, doing, and then done. Some people prefer task and then in progress and then completed. The nomenclature or the language that you use is really up to you. Next up makes the most sense to me because I see my inbox as a default, where all of my tasks, anything that I tag as a task, is going straight to my inbox. And next up is when I am planning out these tasks for the upcoming week. So in progress seems a bit of a strange term because I haven't actually started them. But again, you can customize it and to whatever suits you best. Right, so we have inbox, next up, done, and I also have an archive here. We have a weekly plan, which is supposed to facilitate easy scheduling and planning of your tasks for the upcoming week. So at the beginning of the week, you can assign a day that you want to do the task on, as well as a time block. For the agenda, this is essentially your weekly schedule, your weekly agenda, and it just shows the tasks along with the time block and the days that you want to get them done on. For the task review, this is essentially a list of everything that you would have done or completed within the past week, and this is a place for you to review it. You can add grouping as well based on an area or based on a project, but as I said, I'm keeping it very simple, and this is just a space where you can review the tasks done for the week, and then it would be a good idea to move those tasks over to the archive. The last tab is just a catch-all place for everything that you would have tagged as to do or task, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and build this. So here I have some tasks. When you're now starting off, you would likely be on your today node, which is the node that Tana defaults to, right? And this is where you ideally would add all of your tasks. Some people prefer to add their tasks via the actual dashboard, but adding things as you go along through the day is easy, and ultimately it's up to you based on what you want to do. So let us go ahead and start by adding our task or our to-do super tag. And in Tana, this super tag or a tag is going to be able to allow us to add different fields and it essentially acts as a template, right? Configuring all of these different tasks or nodes. And once we apply that tag or super tag, we are able to see that template applied to each different item that we have here. So I'm going to highlight all of the tasks, these tasks that I have here, and I'm going to just click Shift and the number sign to add the tag task. I'm going to create a new task, and here we can see that we have everything here tagged as a task. I'm going to come into the configuration. So each tag is going to have the configuration, which is where you are going to be able to set your template, as you can see here, right? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show this as a checkbox. Now what this does, if I come back here, you will see that all of these nodes now have a checkbox in front of them, right? So that's what I mean by it acts as a template. Everything that you set for your super tag is going to apply for every node that is tagged with that super tag. All right, so let's go ahead and add in some fields. Now, fields, you can think of them as properties or metadata for your information. And the whole purpose, or the reason why we would add fields to a task, is so that it can aid us in not only organization, but also prioritization of these tasks as we go along. I would caution though, and just be wary of not to add too many fields, right? In a lot of different task management systems, we have a tendency to build out an elaborate structure, and then we end up having to go down and fill out all of this information. So I would really implore you to at least start, especially if you're now beginning to use Tana. If you're using it for task management, really try to only put the fields that you think are necessary for you, right? So there's some self-awareness that comes in here as well. If you know that you are, for example, someone who does a lot of their planning based on energy levels, then it would be helpful to have a field for energy based on how much energy is required for you to do this task. But like myself, I'm not someone like that, so I don't have that in my task super tag. So let's go through and build it out, and then I will kind of explain more as to what additional fields you can add. But again, just caution to start very, very simple, and you can always add things in later on. You can always delete things as well, but it's important to kind of just begin very, very simply. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add a node for subtasks. This is not a field, it's just a node that's I'm placing in the template here, so that each of my tasks are going to have an area for me to put subtasks if I want to. All right, so I'm just going to put 3 blank checkboxes. Now to put the checkbox, it's Command and Return. I should have turned on the keyboard command so you can see, but I forgot. So it's Command and Return, or Command and Enter, for you to add in these checkboxes here. Next, we're gonna add some fields. So the first field that I'm going to add is a status property, right? Next, I'm going to add the day. So this is the day of the week. And lastly, by the way, to create a field, you are pressing the greater than sign. You can see it here, type the greater than sign to add a field. The last one, so status, we have day, and the last one is a time block. Those are the 3 fields that I'm going to keep here. You can add a priority field, so it can be high, medium, or low. You can add you can do something like the Eisenhower matrix, where you do important, not important, important or urgent, or the whole Eisenhower matrix. If you don't know about it, I'll link it below. So now I'm going to configure each of these fields. For status, I'm going to change the field type from plain to options, and the options that I want are going to be the same things that you would have seen initially. So I'm going to need one for inbox. So I'm just going to put the emoji inbox. I'm going to need one for next up. I'm going to need one for done. I'm going to need one for archive. So next up, I believe I had a target for that. Done was a checkbox, and archive, I think I just have a box. Yeah, and that's essentially everything else remains the same for the status. I'm going to do the same for day, changing from plain to option. Then I'm just going to type the days of the week. All right. And lastly, for the time block, this is also going to be an option field type. You can time block in many different ways. I do it in 2-hour time blocks, but you can do it 1 hour. You can even do AM or PM. If you do AM or PM, however, I do advise that you add a priority field so that you can then sort of group or sort those tasks for the AM based on priority, high, medium, and low. Or you can add some sort of emoji to indicate as well. But because AM and PM are just two big buckets of time, you may want to have another field to prioritize things within those time buckets. But I'm going to just go with my usual 2-hour time blocks. I'm going to stop at 10 p.m. because I don't think I'm really scheduling any big tasks after 10 p.m. Okay, so we have our time blocks here. Let's go back and finish the rest of the configuration. While we're still in the templates area, we want to put the default value for status as inbox. This means that everything that I tag as a task is going to automatically have the status of inbox. That way, when I'm in the status board portion of the dashboard, I will be able to easily see everything in the inbox sort of coming down in a line, and I can drag and drop into next up the items that I want to do for that week. So you need to set that as inbox. And we also want to do some done state mapping. So I'm going to toggle that on. And what this essentially means is that it's going to match up me ticking off a task or checking off a task to the corresponding or to the status property that I set it to. So that means if I check off a task in the list view, I want that to automatically go to done or to archive, right? That way, with me just checking off items in a list, it's also moving along the Kanban or the Kanban pipeline as well, right? So it's not like I have to check it off and then I have to also move it from next up to done, or from done to archive. Once it's checked, it's going automatically to done or it's going to archive. So I want to map checked nodes. So I'm going to add the field, so the greater than sign, add the field status, and I'm going to type done and archive. Right, and that is everything that you need to set up in terms of the SuperTag configuration. So now let's go ahead and create the different dashboards. So how I'm going to, you can create these search nodes, right? A few different ways in Tana, and a search node is created by doing Command K, find nodes, everything tagged with the super tag that you want, in this case task, and you click as a list. So this live query or live search is searching for everything that has task in the search expression. I can rename this as all tasks, and I can simply move this up here as well. So I'm just dragging this node here. The other way that you can create a search query is by clicking on this plus sign here and selecting create search node. You would just have to type in the different aspects of the search expression. And the last way is by simply clicking on whichever title that you want and clicking Command K, find nodes, etc. So what I'm going to do is start with the status board. I'm going to create this search node, and I want to see everything as a list. This node is actually viewing, so this would be everything as a list, but it's actually viewing everything as cards, right? And next up, I want to go to more, click group, and I'm grouping them by status, right? I'm also going to remove the statuses that are not, well, any tasks that don't have a status set to it. So I've removed that, and we can see here that we have a very nice and simple Kanban board for each of our status properties. And we can also see that everything in inbox is set to, well, every task is automatically set to inbox because we set that as the default in the settings that we did. So next, I'm going to do the same search for weekly plan. I'm going to find nodes with tag task as a list, and for the weekly plan I want to view it as a table, right? We can come across here and click the different fields that we want to be present. So we definitely want to see the day, and we want to see the time block, and that's what we can see here. This is a column that I deleted earlier and it's showing up there still. But yes, so this is a place where we can plan out our tasks for the week. So we can simply go in here. Let's say I want to do this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I want to do this on Tuesday as well. And let's say that this is due on Thursday. I can also add in my time block based on how I'm seeing my day going or how I'm seeing my week going. And it's quite easy to change these after as well, but I'm just gonna put some default time blocks here as well. So now that we have our weekly plan, and we actually also did a very quick plan for our week, we can go and set up the agenda. So Command K, find nodes with tag task, and we want to view this as cards, and we want to group by the day. And we're not showing anything with a day that's not set. And this is what we have here, and we can see all the days up to the end of the week. That's our agenda. For review, we are looking for all of the nodes tagged with task, and the key for the review is we want to see everything in a list, but we want to see everything where the status is not done. So I'm going to come into the search expression, do the greater than sign for a field and look for status. And I want to select my status, typing in done. So I only want to see things that are done. And you can see here that I don't have any tasks that are completed. So all of these will actually be removed once I run this. But if I were to tick off a task, let's say I ticked off the first task, because we did the mapping, the task state mapping, we are able to check it off and still have it appear here when we set the search query to status is done. Right? So now we just have to really fix some minor details with the live query. This one is fine because we just want to see the tasks. For the weekly agenda, we want to see everything that is tagged as next up. So let's say I go to my status board and I drag my tasks. Let's say I'm going to drag these two tasks across to next up. And when I come across here, because in my weekly plan, I only want to be really scheduling the tasks that I have already set as next up, I'm going to go to my live query and I want the status to be next up. I'm going to run this and we'll see that these two tasks are what comes up, which is correct. And let's go on down to the agenda. I want my agenda to only show me everything that is next up and also everything that is done, because I personally like to see everything, as I like to keep, the tasks in the view. If you do not want to see your completed tasks in your weekly agenda, you can simply remove this done status from here and it will just show you the things that are only tagged as next up. So that is essentially it in terms of the setup for the dashboard. What I'm going to do now is add this dashboard to my sidebar. So I'm just going to name it tasks, and I will put my little inbox emoji here. I'm going to go into this actual node, so I just clicked on that node and I'm going to click Command K and search for tabs, type in tabs, view as tabs. This way I can easily add this across here to my sidebar, and here we have that dashboard. So ideally this works best, I find, with a weekly review. So at the end of the week you are doing your review and essentially your planning. So let's say in my agenda I have completed this. It's Wednesday, so I've also completed this, and I've completed everything else that I had for the rest of the week. When I go across to my review, I can simply highlight all of these tasks and move them from the done category across to the archive. So once I've highlighted them, I will Command K and I would put set status, because that is a field that I'm trying to change in this example, and I want to set the status as archive. That will remove everything from my review. You will still see them all here in all tasks, but it removes it from my review and most importantly from my agenda, so that my agenda for the upcoming week is clear. right? You can see here, everything is clear. And at the end of the week, when I'm doing my weekly review, after I reviewed all my tasks, I want to plan upcoming tasks. So during the week, I would have added tasks, added different nodes tagged as tasks, and they will all be lined up in my inbox, and I can come here and say, okay, what do I want to work on this week? And I can move these from inbox to my next up, and then I will come to my weekly plan and I will see the nodes that I want to schedule. Ideally, it will not have any day or time blocks, so I'm just removing those. I can add in my day or my time block again, so at the end of the week this will all be clear, and I'm now trying to schedule things in. Once I've scheduled everything in my weekly plan, I will see them in my agenda, and I actually want to display the time block in this view. So I come across the display and I click time block so that I can see when I will be working on these tasks, and I move through my week and repeat the process. So at review, once I have actually completed these tasks, they will come up in review, and I can review them and then move them across via the status to archive, and move along with the same process over again. So that's essentially, and you can see that everything is in the archive here as well. You can also group all tasks in a list based on status. So we can see that my inbox is clear, my archive has all of the tasks because I don't have any pending tasks. It's also very easy to rearrange that order. What you can do is just to select all of them. We want the inbox at the top, we want next up, done, and then we want archive. So now we can see everything in a list as well. So I hope that this was helpful, and this is how I have been generally doing my task management inside of Tana. You can add a lot of different fields and personalize it for yourself, but this is just my initial approach to task management. I'm sure that it will change over time, but this is what I'm doing now.